Hey, I have a second channel. Cube Compium TDX.
Hey everybody, here we have another Bestec ATX 300-12E power supply. This is a unit that was in one of my computers out in the shed, out in my building, and I was getting ready to try out the system, but I figured, I better inspect this unit because I don't know if I've ever been in it before. This is one of the ones that has the tan or yellow color glue in it, and this one is also having the same issue that I've seen with several of these units. The glue, when these things are put together, sometimes the assembler gets a little overzealous with the glue, and there's a little bit of a hot spot in these units. It's not hot enough that it causes the circuit board to get discolored or anything like that, but it's hot enough to cause this glue to darken. And when the glue darkens, it becomes conductive and corrosive. So, if y'all have a careful look here at what I believe is the 5-volt standby IC, it's one of the two ICs there is for 5-volt standby duties. If you have a look, you'll see we got this really ugly corrosion going on right there on that 8-pin IC. And you can see the glue right there has gotten really dark. So once that glue gets dark from the heat, it becomes corrosive and it starts attacking whatever it is stuck to. So we need to take care of that, definitely. There's a likely chance had I plugged this unit in, it probably would have gone kapow. I actually did have a Bestec ATX 312E go kapow on me about 2 years ago. Luckily it didn't take out any hardware, but it was definitely caused by this freaking glue. The newer units, they use a white glue, which is definitely nowhere near as bad. But this stuff right here, and this isn't just a Bestec thing. I've seen this glue in several different OEMs of units, from Bestec to Hypro, Light-On, FSP, among others. So in these older units, you got to pay attention. And matter of fact, it's not just computer power supplies. I've heard from commenters on my videos about people having problems with cyber power. Cyber power UPSs having the same exact problem. They use this glue, and if it's on anything that gets hot, it gets dark and it starts to get conductive and corrosive. That being said, we're going to have to repair this unit. It also needs some it's also going to need some new capacitors too, because there's a whole bunch of bulge caps over here on the secondary. And this unit, just like the last one I worked on, it has a freaking Chemicon cap on the 5-volt standby. It's like, why couldn't they have done that on the rest of the caps in this unit? Anyways, let's go ahead and first address the glue issue. Look at the bottom of the PCB. The bottom of the PCB looks okay. I don't see any issue of concern or anything for concern down here. I should mention this unit's been unplugged for quite a while. It hasn't seen power in quite some time. Like I mentioned, if I plugged this in tonight, it probably would have gone kapow. Because, like I said, right around that IC, it's looking pretty rough. Okay, so my plan of action here is, first I'm going to try to nibble at it with the pliers and try to get this stuff out. But more than likely, I'm going to have to take out the auxiliary transformer. Now this IC looking pretty rough there, and also that diode. I'm telling you guys, this stuff, it's just really nasty what it does to your components in here. It's I mean, it's just nasty what it does. Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to pull the auxiliary transformer, so let's go ahead and pull that transformer out of there, and that way we can get this thing cleaned up. Okay, so here's the transformer, and thankfully the terminals on it look okay. Well, there is a little bit of corrosion over here, but it still looks intact. So the transformer itself, I don't think gets really hot, but I mean, we still do want to try to get this gunk off of here. But the real concern is down here on the actual IC. I mean, you can see it's pretty gnarly there. It's like, it reminds me a lot of like corrosion on a car battery. Matter of fact, I do want to, I'm very highly certain had I plugged this PSU in, it would have short circuited. I'm highly certain of that. Although there is some corrosion on the pins, it's not totally gone by any means. It's not quite to that point. It's kind of like this diode also. It's similar, very similar. But yeah, that stuff, it really it really can do some harm for sure. That's why with these older power supplies, generally I will inspect them. I mean, you give these things a recap and you get this glue out, they actually make really great power supplies for system rebuilds. And a power supply like this, also like the Bestec ATX 250-12Z, these units can easily run, like for example, a Ryzen 5 5600G, or just, the Ryzen 5 APUs, the 65 watt TEP APUs. When you use them with the iGPU, I mean, those systems don't have that much demand for power, and a unit like this will run it just fine. Matter of fact, I have one of these running the Cube Computer Portacube system, and it was a little bit newer. It didn't have the tan glue in it. But the thing is, I mean, that's one of the reasons why these things failed. Now, I do want to say that some of y'all may not be too familiar with these units, and you may have heard the stories of the Bestec ATX 250-12E power supply killing motherboards. Well, that unit did have a design flaw in it, and it was in its 5-volt standby circuit. And yeah, it was used an old 2 transistor design 5-volt standby circuit, with no protections and just the overall poor design. These units in the 250-12Z, they have the integrated circuit running the 5 volt standby. And I do believe it's this one right here that's right next to the auxiliary transformer. So I'm going to get some Q-tips and some rubbing alcohol, and I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit more. And then we'll put the transformer back in, and I'll replace these failed capacitors in this unit, because we've got quite a few over here that need to be changed out. Okay, so I've went ahead and cleaned up around the vicinity of that IC, and it definitely looks a lot better now than it did. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the transformer back in, and I tried to get as much as I could off the transformer, but it's just really, it's pretty tough. But the real hot spot was that IC, that 5 volt standby. But it's a flyback control. That gets pretty hot, and of course that was heating up that glue and darkening it, making it corrosive. So it was just eating away at it was really eating away at the pins on that IC. And I do think that there was definitely some conductivity between pins, and that's typically what will cause these things to blow up. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and drop this transformer back in, and then we'll proceed to replace the capacitors on the output stage. Okay, so I've got the aux transformer reinstalled, and you can see, maybe able to see, it looks a whole lot better in there now than it did. So that being said, now it's time to go ahead and change out these capacitors, and somewhere around here I have a little cheat sheet that shows me, here we are, the locations of the typical culprit caps that have to be changed. Okay, so got the replacement capacitors soldered in, and of course we dealt with the glue issue down in there. So now we're ready to go and put this thing back together, and we can back porch test it provided it's dry enough out there. We'll see, as long as it ain't raining. Okay, so it's out there on the back porch. It is actually raining out there right now, but I got that right there to at least have some cover, dry off a spot, and make this quick. Gonna do the, I guess the blow up test first, make sure it doesn't blow up. So let's see what happens. I believe it's running. This one don't have the LED on it to tell you otherwise. It is running, I think. Yes, it's hard to get a good shine on it. Oh yeah, it's running. Again, gotta make this quick because it starts raining pretty hard, and we'll have to definitely bring it in. Yeah, you can see it's running. Alright, so let's go ahead and shut it off and bring it inside. Then we can actually, we'll test it here on the bench. Check the voltages, all that good stuff. Make sure we got power good. Alright, so I'm going to get this up on the table. We'll go ahead and check everything. Okay, now we'll go ahead and check voltages and everything, and fingers crossed that we don't get any explosions in here. I mean, it powered up just fine outside, so fingers crossed for sure. I can already tell this one's got the more aggressive fan curve on it. Some of these Bestec 312Es actually run the fan at a bit faster speed, which in my opinion is not a bad thing. Helps keep it cool, although these units don't really run on hot to begin with. But if you don't keep some air going through them, things will heat up in certain areas, like what you had seen earlier. Alright, so that being said, let's go ahead and check everything here. Using the we use the case as a return. First, our 12 volt. Set this up here where you can see it a little better. Maybe. Okay, so our 12 volts is 11.87. That's in spec. 5.03 on the plus 5 volt rail. 3.36 on our 3.3 volt rail. Minus 11.73 on the minus 12. 5 volt standby is 5.01, almost 5 exact. Yeah, that's what you get with the IC controlled 5 volt standby. And we have power good. We have 5 volts on the gray wire, so that's power good. So it looks like this unit is good to go. Fresh caps, and got that. We rescued that. Of course, we rescued the unit from the death glue. Got a loose connection here. 5 volt standby. Got a good solid power good there, so we're definitely good to go. So that was a successful repair. Pretty good hold up time there too. I think that unit has either 560 or 680 microfarad caps, which in case you ever wondered why newer power supplies that are active PFC have like 330 or 470 microfarad single capacitors, because the two caps in an older style unit like this are in series, which effectively cuts the capacitance in half. So anyways, that is another Bestec ATX 312E power supply that's been rescued from the death glue, and it's got some fresh caps on the secondary where needed, and it seems to be working just fine, so we can return it to service. So anyways, hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Well everybody, that wraps it up for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to CubeComputer channel, and be sure to tick the bell, that way you get notified of new video posts. Also, I recommend following CubeComputer Company on Facebook. A link is in the video description. In addition to computer tech videos, I have a second channel, CubeComp Links are available at the end of this video. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching and your support.